This class is called Desire, and it starts with a very basic human observation that I made. You tell me if you agree with it. I think it's a profound observation. I think it's generally true. The observation goes like this. Are you ready? My observation is that all human beings on this planet spend their time day to day wanting stuff. We all want stuff all the time. We go through our day trying to get stuff that we think will make us happier in life. So if I'm a very materialistic guy, I want more materialistic stuff. If I'm a spiritual kind of guy, I want more spiritual stuff. I want to be closer to God. I want to be a bigger tzaddik. I want to do more mitzvahs. I want to make better changes in the world. If I'm very into relationships, I want to have the best relationships. I want my marriage to be the best. I want to have the best time with my kids. I want to have the best relationships. If I'm very into whatever, baseball, I want my team to win every game. We always go through life, all of us wanting stuff. Whether you're a baby who wants a pacifier, you're an old, sagely person who wants deeper wisdom, you're an activist who wants to change the world, you're a couch potato who wants to sit on the couch and watch more TV. Every one of us just wants stuff. Is that generally a fair statement? Yeah? Okay. Would you say it's true that every one of us in this room, would you say for yourself, there's stuff right now that you want in life? Show of hands. Anybody want stuff? Does anybody not want stuff? Okay. You want stuff, right? Okay, we all want stuff. So the question is, how come we don't have all the stuff we want? Very basic question. Now, there's kind of two ways to look at it. If I don't believe there's actually a God who's up there, who's all-powerful, who loves me, who's running the show, if I don't believe that, if I don't think there's anybody in control, if I think I'm just here because of some cosmic, genetic, evolutionary, accidental thing, and there's nobody really calling the shots, then why don't I have all the stuff I want? Because I just don't. It is what it is, right? Bad luck, good luck, laws of Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's nobody to complain to. There's nobody really running the show. Either you get the stuff or you don't. You win some, you lose some. So, okay, some are winners, some are losers, and most of us are somewhere in between. But if I believe there's actually a thing called God, who's supposed to be in control, who's supposed to be all-knowing, who knows what I want, who is supposed to be all-powerful and can give me everything I want, and I still don't have the stuff I want, that's a little weird. I mean, I believe in a God who's up there right now. He's looking at me. He's saying, Moshe, I know what you want. I get it. I know you want it. I see it bothers you that you don't have it. So he could give it to me. Clearly, he's all-powerful. He probably wants me to have it if it's good for me because he loves me, because he created me to get the most out of life. And he's like a father taking care of a kid. So if God could give me everything, if God wants me to have the best of everything in life, then why don't I have it? In other words, what I'm basically saying is this. Every atheist in the world is going to be bothered to a certain degree they don't have the stuff they want. A religious person is going to be doubly bothered. Because everybody don't have the stuff I want. There's somebody out there who could be giving it to me and they're not. Like, what's going on? What's going? Hello? Hello, you remember I'm here? You know what I want? You could give. Why aren't you giving it to me? So that's the question I want to explore. If I'm an atheist, okay, it is what it is. I'm a believer, now I'm just troubled. I don't have what I want. Somebody could be giving it to me. They decided not to. Why not? That's what I want to be exploring here. Now, if you really ask this very basic question, like why doesn't God give us everything we want, it sounds like a really complicated question. How am I supposed to know? There's a million reasons maybe why God doesn't give me what I want. If you really think about it, you will realize there are three very distinct reasons, three distinct possibilities of why we don't get everything we want. This is not my own idea. It's Rav Noah Weinberg, the Rosh Hashiva. We're here to honor his memory on his 9th anniversary of his death. He taught me this idea, and he taught it to me in a way that I think is going to be extremely practical. I want to share it with you. Okay, this is not a philosophy class on why bad things happen to good people. This is a very practical class where I want you to ask yourself this question. What do I want? Let me try and understand why God doesn't give me the stuff I want. Can everybody in the room think of something they want? A very specific thing you want. Everyone can think of something? Right? Something you desire. It's the name of the class. We're calling it desire.
Something physical, tangible?
Anything. I want more recognition. I want my business to go better. I want to have a prophecy. I want more clarity. I want my kids to listen to me. I want a piece of chocolate cake. Anything. Literally anything on any scale. Anything you want that I don't have, and I'm bummed out that I don't have it. Why isn't God giving it to me? So I want to ask us to challenge, I want to challenge us with the question, what could be the possible reasons why God doesn't give it? And I think, like I say, if you think about it, you'll realize there really are only three possibilities. Try and think for yourselves, out of all the things I want in life, why doesn't God just automatically deliver, make me happy by just giving me everything that I want? What's reason number one? I'm saying if there is a God, that's the given. If there's no God, okay, it is what it is. Life sucks. Too bad. There is a God, like it's not supposed to suck. So now what's going on? We're starting with that point. Yeah.
It's really not good for you.
It's not good for me. So before I get too bummed out, I got to ask myself this question: is it good for me? I want X. I really want X. I'll be so much happier if I have X. Come on, God, give me X. Well, wait a second. I know you want it. I know your life will be more fun. I know you'll be more comfortable. I know you'll be more popular. I know you'll have more money. But is that good for you? Maybe yeah, maybe no. Some things are good for us. Some things that we want are good. Some things we want are not good for us. When I first made Aliyah, I moved to Israel, we had no money. I was learning here full-time in the yeshiva, had no money. I had an old broken down car. I couldn't even afford to get it fixed all the time. I ended up hitchhiking back and forth every day to the yeshiva. I really wanted to get some money. It was like very hard. I was like starving. We're not making it here. I used to buy lottery tickets every week. So Israeli lotteries, you can win like 500,000 shekels, which is, like $25. I want to win a lot. I want to win a lot of money, right? So every week I'm buying lottery tickets, and I'm hoping I'm going to win the lottery. And then I start reading articles in the paper about people who win massive windfalls in lotteries. You ever read stories of these people, right? They win $50 million in the Powerball or $150 million. What happens to most people that win massive amounts of money all at once?
They go bankrupt.
They lose it. They go bankrupt. And not just that. No, never mind, they're back to where they started. They go psycho. They get depressed, they get paranoid, they get angry, people go nuts. You dump that much money on somebody that doesn't know how to handle it, it makes you crazy. Everyone in the world's knocking on your front door. You feel bad that you're not giving to everybody. You want to give to people. You spend it needlessly. You feel bad about what you spent it on. You realize that you're losing it. You're a little out of control. It makes people crazy. People just go psycho. So I realized, you know what? I'm not going to buy lottery tickets anymore because I know myself. If I know personally, me, Moshe Zeldman, if I won a massive amount of money in the lottery, it would make me obnoxious in a minute. I'd buy a Ferrari. I'd buy a helicopter. I'd buy a helicopter. If I won $20 million, I'd buy a helicopter. I'd fly over Jerusalem just throwing money at people saying, hey, I got money. Because that's fun. It's not good for me. It's not good for my character to be that kind of a winner. So I stopped buying lottery tickets. I'm not hoping to win because I know it's just not good for me. So before I get bummed out about not having X in life, I have to really do a little introspection and say to myself, like, what do I want it for? Why am I so convinced that it'll make life better? It might make life more glamorous, might make me more popular, might make me more comfortable, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good for me. Is it good for my character? Is it good for my family life? Is it good for my sense of self? Is it good for my purpose in life? Like, what am I going to do with this stuff? Right? My son comes to me, he says, Dad, I want to borrow the car. What do you want the car for? Well, it's raining outside, and I have to go to the store to pick up some stuff for the house. Can I please borrow the car? I say, no, you can't have the car. He says, come on, Dad. It's a 10-minute walk in the rain. It's raining outside. You're using the car? No, I'm not using the car. So why can't I have the car? Honey, it's not good for you. What do you mean it's not good for me? I say, honey, you're 10 years old. It's not good to have the car. I'm not giving you the car. I know you want it. I know you think you can drive. I know you think it's going to be cool. It's not good for you. I'm not giving you the car. Forget it. I'm not willing to get all upset about something that I want if I don't first ask the question, how do I know it's for my own good? That makes sense as the first question? Okay. Let's imagine you could put a check mark there. Again, think for yourself. Think of the things you genuinely want in your life right now. Think of something you really want. And you say to yourself, okay, out of all the things I want, is there anything I want that I really am reasonably convinced that it's really good for me? I'll be more fulfilled. I'll be more settled. I'll be more productive. I'll be a better person. I'll be happier. I'll accomplish more. It'll do good things for me in life. It'll make me just a better person. Can everyone think of something in that category? If I had X in life, it will make me in some way a better person, more fulfilled person. Can we all think of something? Show of hands? Yeah? Good. Okay. So now it's a little bit more of a puzzle, right? I want something in life, and again, as far as I know, I'm not a prophet, I don't know what God's thinking, but as far as I know, I really believe if I get this, it'll make life better. I actually think God wants me to have it. So now it's a real puzzle. If I think God wants me to have it, because it really is good for me, then why isn't he giving it to me? I want X. It's like imagine right now, God's looking at you and God's saying, I know what you want. I know it bothers you that you don't have it. And I even agree with you, it would be great if you had it, but I'm not giving it to you. Well, why not? If it's good for me, why aren't you giving it to me? Why doesn't God give us all the stuff we want if it is good for us?
At the right time.
So let's include that over here actually. It's good for me now. Right? As far as I know, it's good for me to have, I'm 35 years old. I've been dating for 10 years. Like I don't think God wants me to wait another 2 years to get married. I don't think that's the issue. I think it's good for me to have it now. Like I don't see any reason why I should have to wait to get it. I've applied to med school for 3 years in a row. I got 3 no's. It's a time already. Come on. I want to get into med school. I want to get on with my life. I don't think God's saying wait another 2 years. I don't think that makes any sense. So let's include the now as part of number 1. Again, as far as I know, it's good for me to have it now. I can't think of any reason why I need to wait to move on with my life and get the stuff that I want. Okay, so I want it. Ostensibly, as far as I know, God wants me to have it because it's for my own good. So what's another reason why God doesn't deliver?
I haven't asked.
Haven't asked. So we're going to get to that in a minute. That's going to be number 3, actually. What's even more primary?
It would be better if you work to earn it yourself.
Excellent. Question number 2 is, am I working for it? Am I working for it, right? I'm thinking to myself, you know what? It would be really great if I lost 10 pounds. I'd be healthier. I'd have a better self-image. I'd feel better about myself. I'd be more in control. It would be great if I lost 10 pounds. God, what's going on? I'm not losing 10 pounds. What's happening? So what's God essentially saying? Stop eating so much. Go to the gym. Do something about it. Of course, God could give you everything on a silver platter. Obviously, he's God. He split the sea. He could do anything. He's God. But we also know that God somehow created the world in a way where if you really want something, sometimes the answer is you got to really show that you want it. You got to be willing to work for it. You got to put in the effort. It's called hishtadlus. I got to put in the effort. If you put in the effort, maybe you'll get it. You want to get good marks in school, study. You want to be healthy, do something about it. You're not feeling well, you're sick all the time. Okay, go to a doctor, take the pills, go on that treadmill, stop eating the junk, whatever it is, do your part. I'm having a hard time quitting smoking. Okay, if you really want to quit smoking, do it. Well, God made it so hard. Well, come on, man, if you really want it, do it. Sometimes the answer is we simply don't try hard enough. It's not about accepting God's will. It's not about spirituality. It's not about prayer. It's not about waiting. It's about simply saying, I want to get the most I can out of my life. Maybe the things that I'm frustrated about that I don't have are simply because I'm not taking my needs seriously. I'm not trying hard enough. I want it, and if I really want it, I should go for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm kind of stuck in life. Like, I really want to quit smoking, but I'm still smoking, but I really want to quit. So make up your mind, man. People quit smoking. It might take a lot of work. It might be really hard. If you want it, go for it. You don't want it. You don't want it badly enough that you're willing to work for it. Okay, so forget it. So don't get upset about it. Make the decision. I'll be a smoker. That's fine. It's your choice. But why go through life being frustrated that you want something if you're not willing to put in the due diligence to try and get it? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm stuck, but I don't want to be stuck, but I'm still stuck. So do something. Sometimes it's the only, again, there's going to be another part of it, but sometimes that's the biggest thing holding us back. It's not clear enough to me. I don't want it badly enough. I'm not willing to work for it. I'm waiting for the magical day where I just wake up not wanting to smoke anymore, or I just wake up 10 pounds lighter, or I wake up with that perfect person in my life. Sometimes it takes effort. And me not putting in the effort is me holding myself back from being happy. It has nothing to do with God. It's me holding myself back. That make sense? So far, so good?
Very clear.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Just ask God. I presume.
So that we're going to see right now. Let's look at the next step, right? Again, think of things you want in life. Think of one specific thing where you can genuinely say to yourself, I really want this. I'm pretty convinced, as far as I know, it's good for me. I'm not asking for something frivolous. I'm not asking for just fun and glamour and glory and popularity. I really think if I had X, it would really make my life better. And yeah, I'm doing my part, man. Like I studied for the exams. I went on the treadmill. I'm following the doctor's orders. I've been dating and dating and dating. Like just nothing's happening. I'm trying. I'm doing my part. So back to the original question. Here's where it starts to become a real puzzle. Does it make sense that maybe right now God is looking at you and God is saying, I know what you want. I see it's frustrating that you don't have it. Like I see your frustration. I see that you're bummed out. I see that you're not getting it. You know what? I want you to have it. I actually want you to have it. And God's saying, and I even see you're trying hard to get it. You're trying, you're consulting, you're raising the money, you're doing the things, you're being responsible, you're trying. Does it make sense with both of these that God's going to look at you and say, I ain't giving it to you. You're trying hard, I want you to have it, but I'm not giving it to you. Does that make any sense? What is the third missing ingredient that's going to stop God from giving us what we want? Somebody already alluded to it before. What's number 3?
He just says no.
No, so I'm saying a question we have to ask ourselves. There's one third ingredient we need in order to get it.
You deserve it. Me?
Yeah.
You deserve it. Ask for it.
If I deserve it, it's good for me. So who said it? Ask for it. Who said ask for it? You gotta ask for it. You gotta ask. It's called prayer. It's called prayer. And this, if you think about it, is really odd. It really, really doesn't make sense at first glance. In other words, God's looking at you and saying, I want you to have X. I know it's good for you. I see you're trying hard to get X. But since you didn't ask me for it, I'm not giving it to you. What? I gotta ask you? I mean, you're God. You know I want it. Why do we need to ask for it? It doesn't make any sense. And if you think about it, what does prayer really do? If God wants me to have something, I shouldn't need to ask him for it. He knows I want it. He's all-knowing. And if God doesn't want me to have something, so then what's the point in asking? I'm going to change his mind? God doesn't want me to get that job. Oh, pretty please, God, come on. He knows better. He's God. So if it's something that I want that he wants me to have, I shouldn't need to have to ask. If it's something that is not good for me to have, there's no point in asking. So what does prayer actually, what's the point to pray? You think about it. I'll give you an example. It's like me saying, my son comes home from school one day. I'm sitting home in the afternoon. It's a beginning of winter season. My son comes home from school, 8 years old, t-shirt on. He comes in the house shivering. I say, Yisrael, no, what's wrong? He says, it's freezing outside. I say, so why come you're not wearing your winter coat? He says, I don't have one. My coat from last year doesn't fit anymore. You gave it to my friend, and I don't have a coat to wear. I say, all right. The next day he comes home shivering. Where's your coat? I don't have a coat. All right. Next day comes home shivering. Where's your coat? I don't have a coat. Day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, 10 days. Day 11, he comes in the house shivering. I say, what's wrong? It's really cold outside. Where's your coat? I don't have a coat. I say, okay. He says, Dad, can you please buy me a coat? I say, oh, you want me to buy? Oh, sure, no problem, honey. Here you go. Here's some money. Go buy yourself a coat. Would I do that to my kid? Would any normal parent do that to a kid? I'd love you to have it, honey, but, you never asked me. So since you didn't ask me, I can't really give it to you. That doesn't make any, no normal parent would do that to a kid. If he wants me to have it, if I want my son to have a coat, I'll buy him a coat before winter even comes. I love my son. It's good for him to have it. He can't afford it. Of course I'll buy him a coat. It's good for him. You don't have to come begging. Please, Dad, can I have a coat? I promise I'll be nice to you. Like, he's my son. I love him. Of course I'll give him a coat. Why in the world would we ever need to pray to ask God for the things that we want to have? What does it actually do? What's the point?
You can develop a relationship with God.
Okay, develop a relationship with God. I like that. It sounds maybe a little egotistical on God's side. I want you to have something, but you better be nice to me. You better have a relationship with me, and then you get the stuff that you want.
Well, he knows it'd be good for you.
What would be good for me?
Praying and developing a relationship is good for you on top of the goodness that you would get from
Very nice, very nice. It's somehow maybe God saying, as much as I want you to have the stuff that you're looking for, you know what you also need in life? You have to have a relationship with God. Not because God's lonely, not because God needs you to beg to him, because he's got to show that he's in control, but because God is essentially saying, you'll be better off if you understand where stuff is coming from. You'll be better off if you know who's actually giving you all these gifts that you have every day. So the Maharal's question, I said before, the Maharal mentions, he says, like, this whole prayer doesn't make any sense. You're not changing God. You're not informing him. You're not changing his mind. Well, if by prayer I'm not changing God's mind and I'm not informing him, if there's no change taking place up there when I ask God for things, so what does prayer actually do? It doesn't change God at all. What does it change? It changes us. Prayer changes us. The Hebrew word for prayer is lehit palel. Lehit palel. Lehit palel. Let's examine the actual word for a second. There's Rav Samson Raphael Hirsch in the 1700s makes this commentary. He says, what does the word lehit palel literally mean? So we know one thing for sure. In Hebrew grammar, there are different forms of verbs. You don't really have this in English. You have it in some other languages. Hebrew verbs have many different forms that have special construct states. Any verb that starts with the phrase lehit has a very specific meaning. Lehit always means it's a verb about something that you're doing to yourself. Okay, if I want to get dressed in the morning, that's called lehit labesh. I'm dressing myself. Lehit labesh. If I'm dressing my child, it's not called lehit labesh. I'm getting him dressed. That's called lehalbish. Malbish harumim. Lehalbish means I'm getting somebody dressed. Lehit labesh means I'm getting myself dressed. The word levush means clothing. Lehit labesh, I'm dressing myself. Lehalbish, I'm dressing my son. Lehit palel means I'm doing this thing that's called reflexive. It's a reflexive verb. I'm doing something to myself. What am I doing to myself? This thing called pilel. What does pilel mean? Anybody have any idea what the word plilim means? Pilel, pililot? Any idea? Pilel really means judgment. I'm judging myself. Lehit palel, the Hebrew word for lehit palel, literally means I am judging myself. Here I am asking God for things. God, give me X. So in the process of asking God for X, what am I really doing? I'm saying to myself, well, wait a second. I mean, you already know that I want it. And you've already made up your mind, obviously. So either I'm going to get it or not. So why am I asking you exactly? I got to judge myself. Am I sure it's good for me? Maybe you haven't given it to me because it's just not good for me. I don't need that car. I don't need that girl. I don't need that money. I don't need that thing. No, it's good for me. Well, maybe you're not giving it to me because I'm not doing my due diligence and trying to get it. I'm judging myself, right? Am I serious? Am I trying? What I'm doing when I'm going through the process of prayer is that I'm turning to the God who's made up his mind. And I'm asking, obviously there's something missing here. If you love me, if you can give me everything I need in life, well, how come you didn't give me this? Maybe it's not good for me. Maybe I'm not working for it. There's obviously something missing that's stopping me from getting it. So I'm not changing God. I'm just changing myself. In other words, it's like this, right? To make it simple, here's God up here, looking down at me down here, and I want a bunch of stuff. Prayer is not that I'm changing God. Prayer is that when I pray, when I come to this recognition, oh yeah, God runs the show. He loves me. He wants me to have the best of everything in life. So how come he isn't giving me the stuff? Oh, I know. I got to recognize it's all coming from him. Or I'm not really trying. Or what do I need that for anyway? I'm going through a change. When I become a different person because of prayer, now God relates to me in a different way. I'm a different person. I recognize God more. I'm more aware of him. I appreciate that he's giving me things. I realize that I'm not really working for him, so I've become a different person, or I haven't prayed, or I've realized it's not good for me. When I pray, I become different. It doesn't change God. It changes God's way of looking at me. It changes the relationship from what I am to from what I was before to who I am now. I become a person who now that I'm working for it, now that I've clarified what I want it for, now that I realize that maybe I just didn't recognize God's in control, and now I do, when I change, I can now become more deserving of the things that God wants me to have. I love to give my son the car. Get your license and we'll give you the car. You change and I'm ready to give you the car. I can't give it to a 10-year-old, sorry. Be 16, be 18, whatever the age here is. Prove to me that you're not going to text and drive. You got the car keys. Go ahead. Have a good time. You have to change before I can give you the things that I want. Right now, you're not ready. When you become ready, when you've gone through whatever change you need to make, then I'm ready to give it. Yeah?
So do we have to have like a drastic change like in our personality to get
Maybe yeah, maybe no. Depending on what I want. Meaning, sometimes a person is just, maybe, let's say, so off in life that they want things that are just not good for them in any way, and they got to really change to become the people that are going to handle that thing in a good way. Some nights it doesn't have to be so extreme. I just have to become a little bit more cognizant. I have to be able to appreciate a little more. I have to work a little harder. It definitely doesn't need to always be this massive, transformative, like I got to turn my whole life around to get X. Maybe yeah, maybe no. Depends on the thing, depends on the person, depends on the situation. For sure, sometimes people need to make major changes to get big things. Sometimes people just realize, like, you know what, I just got to work a little harder, and it's there. I'm not taking it seriously enough. Or I got, maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree. Like, who needs that thing anyway? Right? What do I want it for? So it's not necessarily this daunting, like, oh my gosh, I got to transform my whole life, and only then is God going to give it to me. It doesn't have to be that necessarily. Yeah.
So let's say you are davening all the time, and let's say you're working to your fullest potential.
Very good.
And let's say ultimately you know it's good, and maybe people have told you it's good, and it's really not going to harm any physicality or anything like that pertaining to yourself. You're still not getting what you want.
Good. Okay.
Do you ultimately have to say to yourself, God knows better than me, even though I think it's good for me, we don't know.
Excellent question.
Right?
Excellent question.
What do you do?
So that's going to be the next question here, is exactly where you're going. I want to take one step before we do that. I want to look at prayer a little bit more, and then we're going to go exactly to your question. Because that's the most practical question. Like, wait a second, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah,
Right?
Ultimately, human nature will say, you know what, I am doing all the mitzvot possible. I am doing everything that my human capacity in a physical, emotional, psychological, and religious way is doing. And that's, I think, ultimately where some people can turn their back on Hashem, right?
Right. I tried. He didn't listen to me. I give up.
Right?
Definitely.
So where do you go then?
So I'll tell you this. So let's look at prayer, because this deserves a little examination. It's going to answer your question, and then really, I want to look at the whole picture and see how it answers your question. Okay, let's look at prayer for a second. What's God essentially saying? God is sometimes in life, God is saying, I agree with you. You got your check mark number 1. It's good for you. Yes, you should be married now. Yes, you should be healthier. Yes, that job would be great for you. Yes, you should get into that school. It's good for you. And you know what? I see you're really trying. You're doing your part. You're not waiting for magic to happen. You are doing your due diligence. You're really trying. And God says, you know why I'm not giving it to you? Because He didn't ask for it. So what's God really trying to say? He's basically saying, I want you to turn to me and recognize that I'm the one in control. Not because He has an ego and He's got to prove Himself and You've got to humble yourself and say, okay, God, you win. It's a way of God saying, you know what? Your life will be so much happier if you just know that I'm taking care of you. Right? Imagine if this didn't exist. If something is good for you and you work for it, God just delivers. Right? I'm ready to get married. I'm dating. Mr. Right, Mrs. Right just shows up at the door. Will you marry me? I don't have to wait. I don't have to try. I don't have to ask God. Like, there's no God in the picture. I just get everything I want as soon as I work for it. How would life look? It would be great. I'd get everything I wanted. But I'll never recognize that it's God who's giving it to me. Like, who's giving it? Just stuff shows up at my door. Life works out great. You want something, you got it. There was a famous book a few years ago called The Secret. Right? And the premise was, when you really, really want something, the universe will conspire to just give it to you. It's a great atheist way of praying. I get all the stuff I want, and I don't have to actually realize that there's anybody out there who loves me, who's actually taking care of me and giving it to me. Right? Karma, the secret, the law of attraction, they call it, right? What about God? Like, maybe there's somebody up there who loves you, who wants you to be happy, and they're taking care of you, and they're giving you stuff, and you don't recognize it. Right? I remember when my son was 9 years old, I bought him for his birthday, a really nice, I forget, like a game of some sort, I don't know what it was. So my son says, Abba, it's a really nice game, I really appreciate it, but I really wanted a bike. Maybe for my next birthday when I'm 10, can I get a bike? So I said, yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah, I can get you a bike. So the whole year, I want I want a green bike. I want those like things on the handlebars. It'd be nice if it had a whistle also. It had those twirly things on the spokes at the back, and right. The whole year he's like waiting and waiting and waiting. So of course I had no choice. For his 10th birthday, I bought him a bike. Meanwhile, I get to go to the store, buy him a beautiful bike, exactly what he wanted. We have it waiting downstairs, all wrapped up and ready. My son comes home. I say, honey, happy birthday. Your present is downstairs. He's very excited. He's been waiting, right? He runs downstairs. He rips it open. Oh, bike, amazing. Exactly what I wanted. Wow, fantastic. He jumps on the bike. He's thrilled. He starts running around and rolling around in the hallway in the bottom of the stairs over there, having a great time. I say, Yisrael Noah, come back here for a second. Turns around, comes back to me. I say, there's one thing you forgot. He says, what did I forget? You forgot to say thank you. He says, thank you. Can I go now? Now, why am I making my son say thank you? I don't need his endorsement. Right? I know I did a good job. I know how much money I spent. I went out of my way, got him exactly the way. I know I did a good job. I don't need him to validate that I'm a nice father. Why am I making him say thank you?
To be grateful.
Why do I want him to be grateful?
So he doesn't take anything for granted.
Good, so he doesn't take things for granted, and that he'll know where stuff is. The bike didn't just show up. We bought this for you. We're your parents. Right? In other words, from my perspective, more than my wanting my son to have a bike, of course I want my son, I know he'll be happy. More than my wanting my son to have a bike, I want him to have something even more. I want him to know that he has parents that really love him. That's worth much more than a bike. That bike's going to break one day or he'll outgrow it one day. Like the bike's only but him knowing his parents take care of him and love him and give him the things that he needs to be happy in life, that's immeasurable. That'll last for the rest, well, it'll last until the next birthday. But hopefully it'll last the rest of his life.
Yeah.
It's God saying, of course I know you want stuff. I'd love to give you stuff. But you know what stuff you need more than anything? You need to know who's giving it to you. You need to know there's somebody there who loves you, who wants you to be happy, who wants you to get the most out of life. He's listening to you. He's taking care of you. That's what you need more than you need the job. That's what you need more than you need the health. Because if you've got all the stuff and you don't know where it's coming from, you're never going to be that happy with it. It's stuff. Stuff is nice. It's comfortable. It's fun. Huh? No, not with him. He's only 11 now. I'll wait another couple years. But the point is, from God's perspective, him holding back and saying, I'm going to make you pray and ask, it's almost like God's tapping you on the shoulder. It's almost like God saying, like, hello, guess where it's all coming from? Who gave you these eyes? Who gave you these ears? Who's in charge here? Again, not ego. God saying, you'll be so much more deeply happy if you know there's somebody up there who has your back, who's giving it to you, who's taking care of you, who loves you, who wants you to be deeply happy. Now again, this sounds nice, and let's say you now have 3 check marks. Okay? Again, and let's make this practical. You think of something you really want in life. We can all think of things we want in life. Ask yourself in a very genuine way these 3 questions. Am I pretty convinced, again, you never know for sure, but am I pretty convinced that from God's perspective, this will make my life better? I'll be happier, more settled, more successful, more productive, more functional. I'll accomplish more, whatever. I'll be a better human being. Is it good for me? Number 2. Am I doing my part? Am I trying? I'm not just waiting for magic to happen. Am I trying? And number 3, am I really turning to God and praying and asking him? Hold on a second. Let's say you got 3 check marks. Okay? I want to go to med school and become a doctor. I'm 30 years old and I'm not married. I've been dating for 8 years. Whatever. I'm waiting for good news from the entrance, from the exam, from the registrar. Right? Yeah, it's good for me. I want to get somewhere in life. I'm doing my part, man. I'm studying. I'm trying. I'm passing my exams. I'm trying to get there. And I turned to God. I said, God, I get it. It's in your hands. You control everything in the world. I get that. No matter how much I do, it's really up to you at the end of the day. 1, 2, 3, check, check, check. What do you do when the answer is no? You just got rejected by another date. You just got to, you applied to med school 3 times in a row and 3 no's. Man, what do I do now? So here's the magical question. It's a very delicate question. Very delicate question. The question is, if you really put yourself, think in personal terms, you put yourself through this process, and you really ask yourself these questions in a very genuine way, and you really do the steps, you really try, you really pray, you really thought about it, and you got the rejection letter, The guy that you've been dating for 8 months, all of a sudden says, I'm just not ready, I'm sorry, it's not going to work, and here I am again, back to square one. What do you do? How do you feel? How would you feel when the answer comes back no? What do you say? How would you feel in that? When you really took this process seriously, how would you feel if the answer was no?
This is what must be right for me now.
Okay, meaning it's God's decree, it's meant to be this way. He's got a plan, I guess, right? It's meant to be, or it's not meant to be, right? It's not meant to be, okay?
My destiny.
Destiny, right? This is the way life, I guess, is supposed to work out. Not what I expected, but it's the way it's supposed to be.
Or God is sending you an epilepsy. I don't know if this is right.
Okay, but I'm not. I don't want the analysis. I just want the feeling. How would you feel? How would you feel? I'm asking a very specific question. Huh?
The world is over.
The world is over. Like, what the heck, man? Like, I really tried. What's going on here, right? So you'd feel crushed, upset, disappointed. For sure, disappointed is a good one. Anybody else? We got two kinds of answers here. More like, Gamzu Latova, it's all for the good. It's part of the plan. It's meant to be this way. Or like, no, this doesn't make any sense. I'm upset about it.
Put to practice, like everybody in that initial, like as soon as it happens, like I don't think anybody's initial reaction is going to be like, instinctively going to be like.
It's all for the best.
Like that's only after like the analysis, whatever. You think about your initial reaction is going to be that's horrible.
At least disappointed.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, I hear that. Anybody else? Any other, how would you feel?
Kind of confused.
Confused, great. I think, it just doesn't make any sense, right? Check. What's going on? I don't get it. Definitely confused.
If that's not the formula, then what is?
Right. Like, what have I missed? What else could be going on here? Very good.
Is God even out there listening to me?
Very good. Like, maybe I'm wasting my time, and this whole prayer thing is just not happening because there's nobody up there listening, right? You start really questioning things. So I'll tell you something really interesting.
Hard enough, maybe I'm not praying enough.
Okay, so that's already going into the analysis. I'm asking the feeling. When you got the rejection letter from college, what do I feel? What's the feeling? What would you say? What's your feeling going to be? Like it's okay, it's meant to be, or like, no, this is wrong, I'm upset, I'm disappointed, I'm angry.
And you might give up.
Oh, betrayed.
Betrayed, might give up, kind of hopeless, right? So I'll tell you something really interesting. I learned this basic idea, like I said, from Rav Noah Weinberg. And I was teaching it over many different places, over many venues. And I used to always ask audiences this question: how would you feel if the answer is no? And here's the general trend that I find, okay? I gave this class in a yeshiva, very popular yeshiva in America, about 2 months ago. And I asked all the guys in the yeshiva, this is like a high-level yeshiva. I asked all the guys, like, okay, you really want stuff in life. It's good for you. You're working. You're praying. The answer is no. How would you feel? So most of the guys said, Gamzu Latova. It's all for the best. God has a plan. It's meant to be this way, or it's not meant to be, or whatever. That's the way life works, and whatever. Destiny. It's fate. It's meant to be. It's a heavenly decree. It's God's way of doing things. And who am I to question Him? And what do I know anyway? And it is what it is. I went to a Beis Yaakov women's seminary. Asked them the same question. That was the same kind of general reaction. It's meant to be. It's a kapara. It's a tikkun. It's Gamzu Latova. It's God's plan. It's meant to be this way. And then I went to college campuses. Pretty non-religious students, right? Because your average, typical Jewish student on campus. I went through the same exercise. Let's say there is a God, and let's say you really want stuff, and let's say you really go through these questions. If you don't get it, what's what the college student answer? I'd be pissed off. I'd be angry. I would never talk to God again. I'd be so upset. I'd be angry. I'd be crushed. I'd be shocked. I'd be surprised. So I asked Rav Noah Weinberg this question: what's the more kosher reaction? What's the better? How should you really react? He says, Moshe, you should be totally shocked. You should be surprised. You should be shocked. You should be alarmed. It should upset you. It should bother you. Because it really doesn't make sense. What do you mean, Gamzu Latova? It's all for the best. What's for the best? I want it. It's good for me. I'm trying and I'm asking. And God said, no, what the heck? Doesn't make any sense. I'd be confused. He says, you should be upset about it. Because being upset is a sign that you really took this seriously. If I took this seriously, like, God loves me, He's not giving me something, and it's good for me, like, what in the world is going on? I thought about it like this. I'll give you an analogy. Imagine this. Imagine you've got a best friend, okay? Your best friend happens to be ultra wealthy, okay? They're They made tens of millions of dollars. They got cash with them all the time. They're very generous people. They're best friends of yours since you were from a very young age. Your best friend, super wealthy. And you meet your friend once a month. You go for a coffee. You hang out with them. You hang out, spend some time. You're out with your friend for a coffee one day. You're sitting and schmoozing. You look at your watch. You say, oh, it's time to go. I have to get to work now. And you realize, like, oh my gosh, I forgot my wallet. I don't have any money with me. So you say to your wealthy friend, like, do you mind covering me for the coffee? I'll pay you back next week. I'll pay you back next month. So imagine your ultra wealthy friend says, you want me to pay for your coffee? What kind of a chutzpah is this? I'm going to spend $4 of my dollars on you? You look at your friend and like, I said I'll pay you back. I'm just asking you to cover me till we meet again. I'm asking for $4. Your friend says, well, I'm not giving you any money, man. You're on your own. Now at that point, would you say, Gamzula Tova, it's meant to be. I guess I'm washing the dishes. I guess I'm not going to go to the rest. I guess I got to go borrow and beg money. No way. You look at your friend and say, are you crazy? What the heck are you talking about? You're my best friend. You've got money all over the place. You got wads of bills in your purse. How could you say no to me? I don't get it. We're best friends. It doesn't make any sense. If God loves me, if God's all powerful, if I'm asking for something that's good for me, and I'm asking and I'm trying, how in the world can God say no? It just doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. And it's only because you get bothered and upset and that you don't accept the heavenly decree or whatever you want to call it, that it makes you go back and say, you know what? I must have missed something here. Like there's no way this doesn't add up. Either it's really not good for me and I'm just got to think about that some more, or I'm not really working at it, or I'm not really praying. It's got to be one of those three. There's no other possibility, right? Am I really working for it? Sorry, is it really good for me? Well, I got to dig a little deeper now. Let's revisit the question. Why am I so convinced it's good for me? Maybe it's not. Maybe I don't need to be a doctor. Maybe that's not the person I'm supposed to marry. Maybe this sickness isn't going to go away so quickly and somehow it's going to actually bring out the best in me. Maybe something about the situation, as hard or uncomfortable or disappointing as it is actually deep down good for me. No. I've been dating for 15 years, man. There's no way I got to be dating any longer. That's ridiculous. Okay. Question number 2. Am I really working for it? I mean, you say, yeah, I'm working. If I paid you $10,000, could you work a little harder? Yeah, I could work a little harder. Okay, so maybe you're not working hard enough. Maybe you're not taking it seriously enough. You really want to quit smoking? You could do it. I'll pay $10,000 to quit smoking. I'll pay $100,000. Yeah, I can quit smoking for $100,000. Okay, then do a little work, man. Get there. It's nothing to do with God. You're not trying. Try harder. No. I'm doing whatever I can. Okay, so maybe I'm not praying. Maybe I'm not taking prayer seriously. But what does taking prayer seriously mean? It means really getting it. Again, the whole process, it's supposed to change. Prayer is supposed to be transformative. It's supposed to change me. I'm not just throwing a line to God and say, hey, God, in case you're up there, can I have some stuff? I want to really deeply get the idea that God's in full control of everything. No doctor, no med school, no shidduch, no businessman, no economy, no president can change the world the way God can. He can give me anything and everything. He's in control of every molecule of the universe. Do I get that? Do I get that I can't even move my fingers if God doesn't somehow constantly give me the power to move my fingers? I mean, He's in real control. So prayer means getting it real in my bones. He loves me. He's in control of everything. And if it's good for me, He can for sure give it to me. I'll give you a quick... I'll come back to the story in a second, actually. So what ends up happening is this. You'll realize it has to be that one of these three is wrong. It's either not good, or I'm not really working, I'm not really praying. Now, out of the three, 2 of these I think you can be sure are for sure true. Which ones can you say with confidence, yes, I deserve a double check mark on this one? Which ones are a double check mark? So I know when I'm really working. I know when I really, really try hard. And what else? I know when I'm really praying. I know when it means to really pray. I really take my prayers seriously, right? If you can say, I'm doing everything I can, again, within a reasonable, I'm really putting in my effort. I'm really being super responsible. I'm really trying. And I'm really genuinely turning to God. So if that's true, there's only 2 ways this story can end. There's only 2 ways. Either, I tried a little harder and I got it. The no went to a yes. Or I prayed and, I recognized it and God sees that I changed and He finally gave it to me. The answer is yes. Or the answer is, you know what? Maybe I got to realize it's not good for me. but not good for me, not because it's a no, it's because it's also a yes. It's God saying, I have something even better for you. You wanted to marry this person? Look who I have in mind for you. Look who else you could be marrying. You think you got to get into that school? You think you got to get hired by that company? You think you needed to have that going on in your life? It's God saying something, I have some. The only reason I didn't give it to you is because there's something even bigger and better. The answer is either yes, you figured out what was missing and you got the thing you wanted, or it's God saying, I'm not giving it to you because I'm giving you something even better. There's no room in this equation. This is what's so provocative about prayer. There's no room in this equation to conclude God doesn't care about me, or God wants me to be miserable, or God can't afford to take care of me, or God doesn't mind my life being mediocre, or God doesn't really want me to be happy. He just wants me to suffer for no reason. It's not an option on the table. Either I get it, or I get something better. There's no third option. But that's only true if I really take all three steps seriously. What we often do is we say, okay, whatever, I guess it's not good for it. Well, maybe it is good for you. Maybe it's not trying hard enough. Maybe I'm not really turning to prayer hard enough. If I do these two, either I get it or I get something better.
But then ultimately, it comes down to your faith in God. Ultimately, you have to have this unequivocal faith in God that
Yes.
you have to walk away from it with the assurance that maybe with every closed door, another one will open.
Yeah, so I only don't like the word faith because it seems to sound like, who really knows, I'll just hope that it's true. If I've got a deep down knowledge, there really is a God, He really runs the show, He's really infinite, He really wants me to have a great life, right? There's a way of knowing that that's true. It's not really the purpose of our class. There's a way of anchoring that idea in a certainty that's more than just hope. There is a way, but it's really, like I say, it's a whole bit of a different topic. For sure, you're right. It's anchored in the idea that there really is a God. Otherwise, you just walk away and say, okay, I'm just going to suffer and there's nobody in control. Let me do this just to end the class, though. To me, the most challenging part of this for most of us is, we can introspect and, okay, how do I know if it's good for me? Let me think about it. I got to make sure I'm being honest with myself, right? I got to really think about what I want and why I want it. We all know what it means to try hard, right? When you really want to win that race, when you really want to get that person, when you really want to get that job, we know what it means to really try. What does it mean to really pray? That's where it gets a little difficult for us. Because prayer for us is usually just opening a book and saying some prayers, right? You go to the synagogue, you open the book, you say a bunch of prayers. What's prayer really? If prayer is supposed to be transformative, it means the process of me praying is really about, like I said, me judging myself and really getting into my bones like God really runs the show. Like getting that. I'll give you an example of it. I have a neighbor, it's a true story. I have a neighbor here in Jerusalem who grew up in a very Hasidic religious home, Israeli. And got married at a young age, 20, 21 years old. He's actually comes from a very big family. He's got 11 kids. He is one of 11 on his side. His wife is one of 12 on her side. They come from huge families. They're married. They're young. They're very religious. They want to have kids. But months go by and years go by and there's no kids. And they're going to doctors and clinics and tests and they're going to Rebbes and getting blessings and segulas and trying all kinds. Nothing's, years and years are going by, they don't have kids. 7, 8 years go by, no kids. So at a certain point, somebody tells my neighbor, he says, there's a rabbi that lives south of here, south of Jerusalem, in a settlement called Ofakim. It's a little settlement in the Negev desert. His name is Rabbi Pinkus, Rabbi Shimshon Pinkus. He happens to be Rav Noah Weinberg's nephew. Go to Rabbi Pinkus and ask him for a bracha, ask him for a blessing. He's a very powerful guy, he's very connected. He'll give you a very special blessing. So this neighbor of mine drives down at night, one night, 10 o'clock at night, drives down to Ofakim, knocks on Rabbi Pinkus's door. I'm here, I need a blessing, I haven't had kids for many years, it's very hard for me and my wife, we're religious, we want to have kids. So Rabbi Pinkus says to him, he says, I can give you a bracha, I can give you a blessing, but I have to ask you something. Do you ever really pray to have kids? So the guy says, of course I pray. I'm religious, of course I pray. He says, how do you pray? He says, every day, 3 times a day, Shachris, Mincha, Mariv, morning, the afternoon, the evening, 3 times a day, while I'm praying, I ask God to give us kids. Rabbi Pinkus says, you don't understand. If you want to really have kids and it's really bothering you, you have to really, really pray a lot more than that. The guy says, well, I'm doing it 3 times a day. Well, what do you want from me? Rabbi Pinkus says, come with me for a drive. I'm going to show you what I mean. Gets in the car with Rabbi Pinkus, 10 o'clock at night. They leave the settlement. Rabbi Pinkus drives into the desert. And he says to him, in the middle of the desert, he says, get out of the car. I'm coming back in an hour. Just pray. Drives away. So the guy prayed, started praying, right? Middle of the night, pitch black, middle of nowhere, starts praying. He says, 11 o'clock at night, Rapinkus drives back again. He sees the car pulling up. Rapinkus rolls down the window. He looks at this guy and he says, you're not even sweating. I told you, if you want to have kids, you have to really, really pray. I'm coming back in 2 more hours. Drives away again. So the guy tells me, he says, I don't remember how the next 2 hours passed. But I can tell you that when I saw the headlights and I saw that it was 1 o'clock in the morning, he says, I was literally on my hands and knees crying and screaming to the heavens and saying, Hashem, why are you doing this to me? It's so hard. Please, just one child. We want to raise a family. It's so hard for us to live like this. It's so painful. Please, just a child. Rapinkus pulls up. He looks at me and he says, you don't need a blessing from me at all. You're going to have kids this year for sure. 9 months later,
Oh, come on.
twin boys. He really prayed. True story. I see the kids, they live in my neighborhood. Sometimes that's all that's missing. Like, you got to recognize who's really running the show. Hashem wants us to have an amazing life. He wants us to, we're his kids. He wants us to have the best of everything in life. I got to make sure I'm not chasing after nonsense. I got to make sure I'm being responsible, but I got to know who loves me. I have to know who's up there, who's taking it. Huh?
9 months to the
I don't know, basically 9 months. A week later, whatever it was, 9 months. These are the 3 ingredients. Now, like I said at the beginning of the class, you think about what you really want in life. And we all have things we want, and it kind of bothers us that I'm not getting it, right? I kind of go through life like, why isn't God taking care of me? Why is life so unfair? How come she has it? How come I don't have it? So it's one of these 3 that are missing. Either I'm just chasing a dream that's nonsense, I'm just barking up the wrong tree, or I'm not just being responsible enough, or I'm not really praying. So I would say this, before the next class starts, I want you to do this exercise. It's voluntary, but I highly suggest you do it. You're right opposite the hotel. We're in the holiest city in the world. We're in the place of God's presence. I think right now you can go to a desert in your mind. You can take a break now for 3 minutes before the next class starts. Next class is coming soon, right? Take a break for 3 minutes, get out of the room, go to the roof, or just go to a corner, or go to the balcony, and in your own mind, take a 3-minute journey into a desert in your head and say, God, what the heck? You know I want these things, and I really think it's good for me, and am I really trying to get them? Maybe I just got to turn to you and recognize who's really running the show and that you love me. If you can answer these 3 questions in your own 3-minute prayer now, that could be the beginning of really getting the stuff that you really want in life. But it means you got to open yourself up to that experience. Otherwise, we go through life just irritated, or feeling at a loss, or just feeling rejected for no good reason. So I would suggest before the next class starts, right now, don't look at your phones. Don't do anything else. Take a little walk outside, go to the balcony, go to the roof, take 3 minutes, go to a little desert in your mind, and ask yourself these 3 questions. Thank you very much.